Hi. This story is from a book called The Maid of the North by Ethel, Johnston, Phelps. And it is called Gawain and the Lady Ragnell. Long ago, in the days of King Arthur, the finest knight in all Britain was the king's nephew, Gawain. He was, by reputation, the bravest in battle, the wisest, the most courteous, the most compassionate, and the most loyal to his king. One day, in late summer, Gawain was with Arthur and the knights of the court at Carlisle in the north. The king returned from a day's hunting, looking so pale and shaken that Gawain followed him at once to his chamber. "What has happened, my lord?" asked Gawain with concern. Arthur sat down heavily. "I had a very strange encounter in Inglewood Forest. I hardly know what to make of it." And he related to Gawain what had occurred. "Today I hunted a great white stag," said Arthur. "The stag at last escaped me, and I was alone, some distance from my men. Suddenly, a tall, powerful man appeared before me with sword upraised." "And you were unarmed?" "Yes, I had only my bow and a dagger in my belt. He threatened to kill me," Arthur went on, "and he swung his sword as though he meant to cut me down on the spot. Then he laughed horribly and said he would give me one chance to save my life." "Who was this man?" cried Gawain. "Why should he want to kill you?" "He said his name was Sir Gromer, and he sought revenge for the loss of his northern lands." "A chieftain from the north!" exclaimed Gawain. "But what is this one chance he spoke of?" "I gave him my word I would meet him 1 year from today, unarmed, at the same spot, with the answer to a question," said Arthur. Gawain started to laugh, but stopped at once when he saw Arthur's face. "A question? Is it a riddle? And 1 year to find the answer? That should not be hard." "If I can bring him the true answer to the question, what is it that women most desire, above all else, my life will be spared." Arthur scowled. "He is sure I will fail. It must be a foolish riddle that no one can answer." "My lord, we have 1 year to search the kingdom for answers," said Gawain confidently. "I will help you. Surely one of the answers will be the right one." "No doubt you are right. Someone will know the answer." Arthur looked more cheerful. "The man is mad, but a chieftain will keep his word." For the next 12 months, Arthur and Gawain asked the question from one corner of the kingdom to the other. Then at last, the appointed day drew near. Although they had many answers, Arthur was worried. "With so many answers to choose from, how do we know which is the right one?" he asked in despair. "Not one of them has the ring of truth." A few days before he was to meet Sir Gromer, Arthur rode alone through the golden gorse and purple heather. The track led upward toward a grove of great oaks. Arthur, deep in thought, did not look up until he reached the edge of the oak wood. When he raised his head, he pulled up suddenly in astonishment. Before him was a grotesque woman. She was almost as wide as she was tall, Her skin was mottled green, and spikes of weed-like hair covered her head. Her face seemed more animal than human. The woman's eyes met Arthur's fearlessly. "You are Arthur the King," she said in a harsh, croaking voice. "In 2 days' time, you must meet Sir Gromer with the answer to a question." Arthur turned cold with fear. He stammered, Yes, that is true." "Who are you? How did you know of this?" "I am the Lady Ragnell. Sir Gromer is my stepbrother. You haven't found the true answer, have you?" "I have many answers," Arthur replied curtly. "I do not see how my business concerns you." He gathered up the reins, eager to be gone. "You do not have the right answer." Her certainty filled him with a sense of doom. The harsh voice went on, "But I know the answer to Sir Gromer's question." Arthur turned back in hope and disbelief. "You do? Tell me the true answer to his question, and I will give you a large bag of gold." "I have no use for gold," she said coldly. "Nonsense, my good woman. With gold you can buy anything you want." He hesitated a moment, for the huge, grotesque face with the cool, steady eyes unnerved him. He went on hurriedly. "What is it you want? Jewelry? Land? Whatever you want, I will pay you. That is, if you truly have the right answer." "I know the answer. I promise you that." She paused. "What I demand in return is that the knight Gawain become my husband." There was a moment of shocked silence. Then Arthur cried, "Impossible! You ask the impossible, woman." She shrugged and turned to leave. Wait a moment." Rage and panic overwhelmed him, but he tried to speak reasonably. "I offer you gold, land, jewels. I cannot give you my nephew. He is his own man. He is not mine to give." "I did not ask you to give me the knight Gawain," she rebuked him. "If Gawain himself agrees to marry me, I will give you the answer. Those are my terms." "Impossible," he sputtered. "I could not bring him such a proposal." "If you should change your mind, I will be here tomorrow," said she, and disappeared into the oak woods. Shaken from the weird encounter, Arthur rode homeward at a slow pace. Save my own life at Gawain's expense? Never, he thought. Loathsome woman. I could not even speak of it to Gawain. But the afternoon air was soft and sweet with bird song, and the fateful meeting with Sir Gromer weighed on him heavily. He was torn by the terrible choice facing him. Gawain rode out from the castle to meet the king. Seeing Arthur's pale, strained face, he exclaimed, "My lord, are you ill? What has happened?" Nothing at all." But he could not keep silent long. "The colossal impudence of the woman! A monster, that's what she is. That creature daring to give me terms." "Calm yourself, uncle," Gawain said patiently. "What woman? Terms for what?" Arthur sighed. "She knows the answer to the question. I didn't intend to tell you." "Why not?" Surely that's good news. What is the answer? She will not tell me until her terms are met, said the king heavily. But I assure you, I refuse to consider her proposal. Gawain smiled. You talk in riddles yourself, uncle. Who is this woman who claims to know the answer? What is her proposal? Seeing Gawain's smiling, expectant face, Arthur at first could not speak. Then, with his eyes averted, the king told Gawain the whole story, leaving out no detail. The Lady Ragnell is Sir Gromer's stepsister? Yes, I think she would know the right answer, Gawain said thoughtfully. How fortunate that I will be able to save your life. No, I will not let you sacrifice yourself, Arthur cried. It's my choice and my decision, Gawain answered. I will return with you tomorrow and agree to the marriage, on the condition that the answer she supplies is the right one to save your life. Early the next morning, Gawain rode out with Arthur, but not even meeting the loathsome lady face to face could shake his resolve. Her proposal was accepted. Gawain bowed courteously. If, on the morrow, your answer saves the king, we will be wed. On the fateful morning, Gawain watched the king stow a parchment in his saddlebag. I'll try all these answers first, said Arthur. They rode together for the first part of the journey. Then Arthur, unarmed as agreed, rode on alone to Inglewood to meet Sir Gromer. The tall, powerful chieftain was waiting, his broadsword glinting in the sun. Arthur read off one answer, then another, and another. Sir Gromer shook his head in satisfaction. No, you have not the right answer, he said, raising his sword high. You've failed, and now... Wait, cried Arthur. I have one more answer. What a woman desires above all else is the power of sovereignty, the right to exercise her own will. With a loud oath, the man dropped his sword. You did not find that answer by yourself, he shouted. My cursed stepsister, Ragnell, gave it to you. Bold, interfering hussy. I will run her through with my sword. I will lop off her head. Turning, he plunged into the forest, a string of horrible curses echoing behind him. Arthur rode back to where Gawain waited with the monstrous Ragnell. They returned to the castle in silence. Only the grotesque Lady Ragnell seemed in good spirits. The news spread quickly throughout the castle. Gawain, the finest knight in the land, was to marry this monstrous creature. Some giggled and laughed at the spectacle. Others said the Lady Ragnell must possess very great lands and estates. But mostly there was only stunned silence. Arthur took his nephew aside nervously. Must you go through with it at once? A postponement, perhaps? Gawain looked at him steadily. I gave my promise, my lord. The Lady Ragnell's answer saved your life. Would you have me... your loyalty makes me ashamed, said Arthur. Of course you cannot break your word. And he turned away. The marriage took place in the abbey. Afterward, with Gawain and the Lady Ragnell, sitting at the high dais table beside the king and queen, the strange wedding feast began. "She takes the space of 2 women on the chair," muttered the knight Gareth. "Poor Gawain." "I would not marry such a creature for all the land in Christendom," answered his companion. An uneasy silence settled on the hall. Only the monstrous Lady Ragnell displayed good spirits and good appetite. Throughout the long day and evening, Gawain remained pleasant and courteous. In no way did his manner toward his strange bride show anything other than kind attention. The wedding feast drew to a close. Gawain and his bride were conducted to their chamber and were alone at last. The Lady Ragnell gazed at her husband thoughtfully. "You have kept your promise well and faithfully," she observed. Gawain inclined his head. "I could not do less, my lady." "You have shown neither revulsion nor pity," said she. After a pause she went on. "Come now, we are wedded. I am waiting to be kissed." Gawain went to her at once and kissed her. When he stepped back, there stood before him a slender young woman with gray eyes and a serene, smiling face. His scalp tingled in shock. "What manner of sorcery is this?" he cried hoarsely. "Do you prefer me in this form?" She smiled and turned slowly in a full circle. But Gawain backed away warily. Yes, of course, but I don't understand." For this sudden evidence of sorcery, with its unknown powers, made him confused and uneasy. "My stepbrother, Sir Gromer, has always hated me," said the Lady Ragnell. "Unfortunately, through his mother, he has a knowledge of sorcery, and so he changed me into a monstrous creature. He said I must live in that shape until I could persuade the greatest knight in Britain to willingly choose me for his bride. He said it would be an impossible condition to meet." "Why did he hate you so cruelly?" Her lips curled in amusement. "He thought me bold and unwomanly because I defied him. I refused his commands both for my property and my person." Gawain said with admiration, "You've won the impossible condition he set, and now his evil spell is broken." "Only in part." Her gray, clear eyes held his. "You have a choice, my dear Gawain, which way I will be. Would you have me in this, my own shape, at night, and my former ugly shape by day? Or would you have me grotesque at night in our chamber, and my own shape in the castle by day? Think carefully before you choose." Gawain was silent only a moment. He knelt before her and touched her hand. "It is a choice I cannot make, my dear Ragnell. It concerns you. Whatever you choose to be, fair by day or fair by night, I will willingly abide by it." Ragnell released a long, deep breath. The radiance in her face overwhelmed him. "You have answered well, dearest Gawain, for your answer has broken Gromer's evil spell completely. The last condition he set has been met, for he said that if, after marriage to the greatest knight in Britain, my husband freely gave me the power of choice, the power to exercise my own free will, the wicked enchantment would be broken forever. Thus, in wonder and in joy, began the marriage of Gawain and Lady Ragnell. The end.